Here, we're being given a function, g of x, and then we're being asked about g of 7 minus w. So if we had been asked about something simpler, like g of 5, most students would have an easier time saying, okay, well, that means x is 5. But g of 7 minus w is no different. That simply means you plug in 7 minus w as your x. So g of 7 minus w is 7 minus w, 7 minus w minus 2, and 7 minus w plus 6 squared. And we're being told that when you do that, it's all equal to 0. So let's simplify a little. 7 minus w, 5 minus w when you combine like terms, and 13 minus w squared. Now here we have something called the zero product rule, and that has to do with just your regular quadratic sequence. For instance, if you had y equals x squared minus 2x minus 35, and you were being asked for the x-intercepts, you're supposed to know the x-intercepts mean that y equals 0. So you set y equal to 0, and then you factor. We're looking for two numbers that add to -2 and multiply to -35, x minus 7, x plus 5. And then from here, the next step is called the zero product rule. In other words, if these two things multiply to 0, and they do, that could only happen if one of them were 0. So the zero product rule is the idea of setting each individual piece equal to 0. And from there, you can get your actual numbers. So in most quadratic situations, if you have a factor like this, you'll have an x-intercept like that. In other words, the sign changes. If you have a factor of x plus 5, you'll have an x-intercept or a root of x equals minus 5. And you get that by using the zero product rule, where you set each individual parentheses equal to 0. So let's do that here. We're seeing that we have 3 parentheses, this one, and this one, and they multiply together to give you an answer of 0. So that must mean that at least one of them actually is equal to 0. So the zero product rule says we take each one and we set them equal to 0. On this one, you can add w to both sides, you get w equals 7. Here, you can add w to both sides, you'll get w is 5. And on this one, a tiny bit more complicated, take the square root of both sides to get rid of that square. And you'll have 13 minus w equals 0. Now you can add w to both sides, and you'll get w is 13. So those are our 3 values of w, not x, of course. And we're being asked for the sum of these 3 values. 7 plus 5 plus 13 equals 25, and that's our answer.